Come on, Fliffles.
Hey, welcome, crypto media friends. Welcome back to another show. We're here today to talk about alpha groups, and we brought in one of the crypto media friends, one of the old school crypto media friends, Indigo. Indigo, how did you get into this space?
It was slightly mental, to be honest. My boss recommended me Axie Infinity because I'm a big gamer nerd, and he just got into it. And I was like, oh, there's some money here, some money. Recommended me another project called Aradina, bought into that as well. And that was my first NFT that was pre-utility. So it was, we've got all these things that we're promising. It looks really fantastic. Bought in with the plan, I'm going to have to hold on to this for however long it is until this comes to fruition. And continues to be growing, and they've got a whole bunch of awesome stuff cooking. And yeah, it just sort of blossomed from there. I ended up in another project started by two different people from within that project, and then it all just sort of branched out from there. And now I've lost a good 2/3 of the last 8 months of my life to NFTs and the general quest for money they're associated with.
It seems like years ago, right? It's just, when I first heard of Aradina and all these things, it's just like, I think that's part of almost the impatience of this space, right? Everyone's like, okay, like, it should be, everything should be on fire now, tomorrow. We're mooning.
When Lambo, yes.
Every day. And I think that's tough. And it's tough, I think, to keep track of, honestly, because I think early on, today we're, discussing alpha groups, and early on I was, offered, places within alpha groups. Certainly, there's some that are just, you and I can just, go pick up right now, like Metaverse HQ, which, is just a great collective of people researching, and they bring it together. And each day, they have just sort of a breakdown. Definitely each week they have a breakdown of, what's minting, and it's, and then through that have become, purveyors of a lot of great new projects. Like Azuki started with Metaverse HQ, like kind of getting into, okay, guys, we're going to give you a bunch of whitelists. We're going to, take care of you, and can you deliver us an audience? And so, by way of that, they've kind of become, these sort of mafias within themselves. And so, but with all of what's going on in this space, I mean, it's just every day there's like 100 new projects dropping. There's, the airdrops last night all over the place. I'm like, what? There's another airdrop? Struggling to, like,
It's always hundreds of the damn things, yeah.
To collect everything and to collect all the information into one space. Now I'm starting to rethink my, actually reapplied to Friends with Benefits, because, at the time, it was early on in Friends with Benefits, you have to own 75 coins of Friends with Benefits in order to get into their alpha group. And, at the time it was like $10 or something like that, fiat. During the bull run, it went up to 100. And so I'm FOMOing at 100. I'm like 7,500. I was like, God, maybe I need it. Maybe I need it because it's so busy. Maybe I need this. This is, I always recommend, when market cools, these are great times to look into things like that. And so actually I looked back into it, and they were smart enough to separate their membership down into localized versions as well, so that you can have access for something as merely as 5 coins. They have a London room as well, so you might have to look into that, and I'll share that with you later. But they have an LA room, so it's just like, it seemed natural to join. And so trying to find ways of getting sort of the amalgamation of all of the information that's going on is really, really challenging. Have you been in any other rooms on Discord? Because that's what they are, essentially. We're talking about, they're just Discords that people sit around and they focus in on the market and certain aspects of the market, right?
I mean, it's a big pile of different things that people focus in on, but yeah, there is certainly, it depends where you are. Like, a lot of the projects that you will get now will have an alpha channel, regardless of whether their plan is to be an alpha group, because that is something that is very much expected now. If you're a big deal project, you will have someone tracking your alpha. You will have someone who's making these announcements. You will have collabs and giveaways with these big upcoming new projects, because that presents value for your members, even though your project is still 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, however long from its,
it gives them something to do, right?
Exactly.
Go mess with those guys. Well, I'm over here tinkering with our project, because win moon. Well, these guys are mooning. Come back to us when we're when you're done mooning with
Exactly.
them.
Go flip these guys. Hold on to us. Don't paper hand us. Just go and flip these guys and make some money in the
Because
meantime.
we
Yeah, we're
told you
really
about
valuable.
them. Yeah, because we told you about them. And I think that a lot of projects, as you said, have embraced it. It's funny, like they're one of the really good ones used to be Mad Rabbits. And for some reason, the alpha room actually began overshadowing the project. So they canceled the alpha room. It was astonishing. I was like, guys, why would you kill the alpha room? It's just like it was such a great
It's not a
room where a
well
lot
thought
of
out
people
plan.
who
Yeah.
I think it's led to not a massive decline, but certainly a decline in my personal interest versus Bears Deluxe. Bears Deluxe has evolved into a nightly thing. Every night you can go on to Bears Deluxe. There's a voice chat. You can jump on with, I kid you not, 50 to 100 people. And you got people, sharing, the latest trades. Everybody's got like charts that they can share. Like, everyone's really broken down a lot of aspects of projects and market movement in a very, very intense way, it feels, very Wall Street in a sense, boiler room, which is kind of awesome, in terms of, just catching up with the marketplace. And so when you have a group like that, that's really super dedicated, it's valuable. And for me, that's I've held Bears Deluxe since mint because of just this idea of like, being able to reconnect to a certain aspect of the marketplace. I don't think I could sustain that boiler room atmosphere for, weeks on end, but like being able to jump in, I think is very valuable as a holder. And so, tell me about the new project that you're into that is thinking about bringing this aspect to a more fuller developed Paramount sort of concept to their platform.
Yeah, so the whole idea behind Psychonaut Ape Division, which is said project, as you're also in it, is,
let's be clear, we're holders.
Well, not yet. Technically, we're pre-holders.
Pre-holders. Yeah, we're anticipating holds. Because it's minting. What's the latest date that you can share? Are you able to share that alpha?
March, early March.
Okay.
That's about as specific as I can get because the thing is, we're playing it safe. We can't pull off this utility without a successful mint. So if the mint needs to be forestalled so that it can be successful, then that's what we'll do. That's all there is to it, because the whole point of this utility is we want to get an amalgamated source for alpha with assessment and comparison done. That's the bit. You've got so many different alpha groups out there. All of them are gathering their own different data. Some of them have got rug warnings. Some of them have got, different things that they're getting into and different access. And a lot of them have extremely high price tags in front of them. Not necessarily something that your average person can't afford, but in some cases, certainly that your average person can't afford. And more importantly, that your average person probably can't afford 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these, of which there are clearly more than that many. There's hundreds of alpha groups out there. There's secret ones, there's pay ones, there's all these different kinds of groups. Now, one of the issues with alpha is it's a very secretive sort of thing. It's got this whole skull and bones, cloak and dagger feel to it. You're not supposed to share it, but at the same time, everyone knows that sharing it is exactly how it works, because 500 people doesn't mint a project. If you've got one alpha group in there that doesn't do it, what you have is your alpha group leaking like a sieve. But as long as your people get in first, it's that exclusivity, that first dibs, right?
Exactly. And so I think that's, maybe that's a good question. Like, how do you be a good member of an alpha group? I feel like for me, it's about, bringing, my take, what I, started this channel for, the media take on things. And that's kind of what I bring to the group. Whenever, we're talking about a certain project, I try and bring that perspective and shade it with, oh, hey, Veracity. Yeah, you guys mentioned Veracity. Veracity actually has patents that'll, disallow anybody else, in the marketplace from doing what they do. And that's why they're going to moon, harder than, whatever projects you're talking about. And so, I think it's about bringing perspective. And that's the thing, is like, sometimes I can feel intimidating as a newbie, but, what's your take on being a good member of an alpha group?
I think everybody has their own stuff to offer, right? And that's one of the really nice things about NFT space is
Definitely
getting into an alpha group is about one thing fundamentally, right? It's about making a profit. Now, there are multiple ways you can do that. You can be providing value with information. You can be providing value by grinding out whitelists for the group and then either sharing them or someone funds the mint and you split it or whatever you do. I personally, when I'm providing that sort of value, I like to chat to devs on projects. So I get source alpha, and while I can't necessarily share all of it, I can usually get stuff that's
it's so powerful it chokes you up. That's how powerful the alpha is that you get, because it's true. Because
everyone likes prime
where
alpha.
You surf that, yeah, where you surf, you know, we talking about alpha meaning first, alpha meaning best also as well, information. Sometimes that's not always, you know, mutually exclusive. And so having, you know, relationships with devs, having relationships that allow you to get really, as you said, source alpha. There's different layers, isn't there?
Most definitely. I mean, that's the bit. Most of the alpha that you're going to get bumbling around is going to be second, third, fourth hand. The goal of PAD is to try and get ourselves into at least sort of second or third hand, and then have it all analyzed and assessed and fact checked. Because that's the bit. If you've got it from one source, it's always that problem of going, all right, well, is this just one person has been duped by this particular scam? Like Squiggles is the perfect example that has just sort of been just the whole, like, the only reason that I know that that's a scam is because there's an alpha group I'm in announcing that it was a rug pull, and here are all the previous scams that these particular people have done. I was like, oh, glad I paid no attention to that. But yeah, it's that thing of you want to get that, but actually the ability to corroborate it as well, having it actually assessed, and, you know, one place that goes, actually, we've checked this source, this source, this source, and this source, and we've had 4 people fact check this information. This all says it's good. Now you still have to do your own research. It's NFTs, it's crypto. You have to
always do your own research. There's zero financial advice ever here, nor even on those, you know, those groups, you know, because then they'll be held accountable to some degree. And I think that, you know, you're just sharing information as best you can, but if you can, you know, create a systematic way of sharing and distilling this alpha with, for me, what's super valuable also is auditing contracts, is getting into the technical side that, you know, honestly, the retail investor just doesn't want to deal with. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to Etherscan and, you know, and do that. But it's just like there's services that do that, you know, that
we have understand.
Yeah, and so it's just like
in PAD already. Jay Moyer was talking about this on the Amber and saying this is absolutely a thing that he is going to be doing for it, and is something that he already does. So yeah, 10,000% contract assessments are going to be a thing that's in there, and that's the bit. It doesn't negate the need to do your own research, but it does go, we've already done your own research, you just have to go and fact check all the answers that we've got, which is a much easier and less time consuming process, especially compared to having to do that yourself across 30 bloody servers. If it narrows you down to even just sort of, you know, 5 that you have to go and check, or 2, that's still going to save you so much time, especially if you're not wanting to do the daily grind all day, every day.
You'll start to develop a relationship, and I think that that's what's powerful about this project, is by doing so, you develop a relationship, much like I have this, you know, relationship with Bears Deluxe, and that community becomes very like fervent about, like, you know, their community, because of this trust that, you know, people are doing the research, and the people that are presenting the information have done the research to a point that says, okay, I can take that and I can at least fact check it at least, you know, twice over here, and get a good strong understanding that, okay, I can move forward with the decision based upon what I know from, you know, what they've provided me, including a lot of the back end tech stuff that, you know, kind of boggles the mind to really just stare at an Etherscan contract. Like, you can go through it and you can thumb through it, but you're just like, well, where's the hole? I don't know if they could rug me. Like, so there's a lot of questions that can be answered by a skilled team, because not all alpha groups are the same. A lot of alpha groups can just be, you know, much like, you know, to some degree, you know, Mad Rabbits. It was just like, you know, some people just hanging around having a chat about it, versus Metaverse HQ, which, you know, has researchers, which, you know, has paid positions, which actually do this sort of stuff. So it seems like you guys are trying to find a happy medium of NFT ownership. One of the things I didn't like about Metaverse HQ actually was that you have to buy that NFT yearly. It was a subscription sort of thing. It was just like, oh yeah, this is great for the year, but like, you know, they're looking at their own turnover and how they can continually, you know, make profits, and was just like, oh yeah, well, next year you have to buy another one.
That doesn't really feel like an NFT at that point. Just run a subscription service and have done. Like,
right. It felt
just do a premium subscription service on Discord. The bots all exist. You're just adding an unnecessary level of complexity.
yeah.
But I guess it gets them around having to involve fiat and tax, so I can sort of understand that too.
So have you guys thought through, I think, in terms of how it is you guys are going to approach, NFT and Alpha Group as a community?
Well, that's part of the important bit. So, as I mentioned before, there is this whole feeling of exclusivity around Alpha. So, one of the really important things that we're going to have to be able to do with these communities that we're planning to buy into and engage with is give something back. Because you can't just come in and poach someone's alpha, poach all of the alpha from all of these other groups and then just distribute it as you feel like. That will upset a lot of people. But taking that, verifying it against a bunch of other groups that they may not have access to, feeding it to both our members and back to the groups it came from with that verification, I think everyone would be quite happy with that arrangement. It's something that benefits everyone involved. You're not necessarily holding in that in our particular project. You're already holding in, Neo Tokyo, BC, Bears. I've completely forgotten the name of that project. I'm so sorry.
No, but it's like you're mentioning groups that have this, $500,000 buy-in, of getting access to that level of alpha. And so I think that's why that they have kind of created their own closed doors in a sense to people, as you said, the exclusivity of it all by kind of holding that information in. But as you said, it gets disseminated. And so being that members of PAD are BASI, are Neo Tokyo, how at liberty, or is that part of the plan that they're going to be literally taking from the best alpha groups as well and putting them into PAD?
Well, that's the bit, is it's not going to be a matter of we just take what's in those servers and then go, all right, PAD members, here you go. Because that then that's just viewed as sort of intellectual theft, as it were. I mean, it's that old argument of, if you copy a DVD, is it theft? I mean, yeah, I guess it kind of is. I'm probably talking to the wrong person saying that.
We're
You're a producer, yeah.
Sorry, this is theft.
I'm not responsible for any level of piracy. I swear. I just need to hide some files.
Is that an authentic Marvel poster behind you?
I don't know. I bought it in Aldi. It may or may not be. I have no idea. I hope so. It's quite nice. No, but so the whole thing is, it's not going to be something that's just spread to the entirety of our membership. It's going to be very select and very closed where that initial information is pulled to, because we're buying these NFTs. We've got a very limited access to that information. It's only going to be for certain people. Those are going to be the analysts who will then be compiling this data together. What gets released to our group is not any one individual group's alpha. It's our analysts' combined findings and outputs. Something that's, it's one of those things. It's a fine line to walk, and it's all about treading it carefully enough while doing something effective and new, while also not pissing off some of the biggest movers in NFT space, because you really don't want to be on the bad side of BASI, Neo Tokyo, any of those big boys if you're wanting to play in the alpha game, because they can stamp you out.
Yeah, one of those guys are definitely dripping stuff on Twitter. So I think it's just about having that secondary research team that says, oh great, hey, we heard something off of Macy's mafia group or something like that is in on they're doing whitelist for X, and just verifying it, maybe even having the own resources of checking in with that group and doing your own due diligence for the group. I think kind of blesses that process to some degree, because as you said, everyone at some point has to leak it, or it's not alpha. Like, it's just like you need the project to germinate. You need the leak, if you will, right?
Exactly. And then once we've got that initial build up, as happens with any good alpha group, once you get yourself established and get a little bit of clout, you then start getting your own alpha from source. You start getting your own access from source, because people are aware of you as a group. This is a group that is known to do things, and when they're involved, projects mint out. Everyone wants that involved. So it's a sort of a lead-on process. Yeah, we do have to follow in footsteps a little bit, but actually, we've already got a whole bunch of Doodle members, a bunch of Basie and Macy. Our founders are Basie, Macy. There's a number of Neo Tokyo citizens. A bunch of people like myself go off and do their own thing, chat to devs. So it's not even just going to be from the projects that we're buying into. Like, this is going to be more or less exclusively where I plan to start funneling my alpha into. And we've had a number of chats over the months. You found some fun projects off of me. Fear Lux, good pickup, right? It's not
Lux
on the
is
moon
an
yet, but it
amazing pickup,
will.
and I do owe it to you guys to bring me aboard Fiat Lux and gave me truly the sort of inside scoop on a project that I think is super astonishing and really ahead of its time in a lot of ways. And again, that's part of the great relationships that we have in this space. With friends who are in other sections of the space, and bring perspectives together, because while you guys are watching Aradina, like I'm over watching Mad Rabbits, or I'm watching Nuclear Nerds or something like that. And so but when we come together and chat, it's like, oh, how was that? Oh, great, they're actually doing this. Oh, fantastic, I really love that. And then I saw a Fidgetal and I'm like, what the hell is that? and really had to ape in hard. Actually,
Things people are going to want.
Yeah, and so we can do an entire episode on Fiat, but wrapping up a pad again, Psychedelic Ape was the third one.
Alpha Group. What?
No,
no, Psychonaut Ape Division.
So with Psychedelic Ape Division, being a derivative, having its own marketplace, I think is something we wanted to touch on, because they're popular in their own right. Like, I remember we've covered baby apes before, and it was like insane, like how fast the floor rose on it, because who doesn't want sort of the great little cute companion to go with your ape if you're a holder. And so
Grandpa Apes is happening right now. It is starting. Grandpa Apes is happening right now. Yeah, it's literally just old versions. That's what it is. And there are so many others out there. I don't know if you've seen 0x Apes, which basically same collection, same traits, just with a yellow background. That's the only difference. They completely minted out, and they're like a 1/2th floor now. It's insane. Yeah, there is absolutely an intent to piggyback off of that success. We've got a Basie holder as one of our founders. He is familiar with that whole thing. He has a number of connections up in there. And honestly, there's a whole bunch of ape derivatives out there, and I hope not too many of them see this and get angry at me, but I'm not gonna lie, Pad's probably the best looking one. I've seen a lot of all right looking ape derivatives, but this is the only one that's actually made me go, actually, yeah, no, that's pretty cool.
I almost thought it was part of, when I see them sometimes, I almost think they're mutant apes. I almost think that they're part of the actual collection, because they're really well done, but they're also done much more aesthetically pleasing than mutant apes. For me, mutant apes was really a tough collection to get through, and I didn't get into them because I'm kept looking for a clean one that I felt like I could connect with, that had a character. But Pad has, I think, that in spades. Like, each one is very, very. Who's the artist?
Woe Johnny.
Yeah, Woe Johnny, because Johnny Woe is a good artist, because it's a really fantastic collection that he's put together. For you,
he's done a bunch of other really good stuff as well. He's something unofficial but sanctioned for Rick and Morty. Did a fairly kick-ass mural for HelloFresh, which I probably have in my paste bar, and I'll send you somewhere if you want it.
Definitely take his links, and I'll put them down below for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, genuinely just an absolutely fantastic artist. And the most interesting part, as has been previously teased, is this is him doing the restrained versions. He is very specifically limiting himself, because this is Gen 1. These guys haven't started taking their substances yet. That's Gen 2.
Brilliant.
So yeah, that's when he's going to get to really cut loose and go completely and utterly bonkers. So I'm rather looking forward to that. But in order to get to that, you'll have to have Gen 1.
Well, I appreciate sort of the alpha, if you will, that you brought to this conversation. Is there any bit of alpha that you'd like to share with the viewers before we sign off?
For Pad, I don't think I've got anything specific right now. I'll tell you what I will do is I will send you a sneak peek that no one else has got, and you can just cut that in.
Okay.
Because I don't have it available right now.
Send us a sneak peek and let us let our viewers in on some whitelist action and where they can go do that. Clearly on the Discord as well. But you know, if they can get involved early before the mint, which is coming in early March, I think it'll behoove them to get in, obviously, on the whitelist before. As you said, like the floors on these hit instantly because you have this built-in audience that sort of really bids up these projects immediately. And I think that what you guys are doing in terms of focusing that hype, that existing hype, and kind of creating sort of that dual hypeness, if you will, of also adding a hype, an alpha group to it, to the component, I think is a really powerful one. And I think it's one to watch in the space. So
derivatives mint out with no utility. That's the bit. We've got a really good looking deriv with really good utility behind it. It's everything. It's the package. That's, you know, that's why I'm doing it.
Awesome. We'll include the links down below, and thank you again for talking to us today.
All right, sweet. Cheers, Bailey. Appreciate your time, mate.